This is the most professional auto safety evaluation by D-Car. There are three main tests: 35 miles per hour 30% overlap crash test against truck, 40 miles per hour 40% frontal offset crash test against a deformable barrier, 50 miles per hour 70% rear end crash test. The models tested are best sellers in China, purchased randomly from dealerships nationwide. All tests are conducted by the BQI. Tire pressure in the low voltage system were checked before test. The battery level is maintained at 50% plus or minus 5%. Fuel tank is drained and filled with dyed water. Original batteries, motors, and antifreeze are kept. The 35 miles per hour 30% frontal offset crash test uses the IIHS semi-trailer under ride crash standard. 2 dummies in the front row. The calibration includes the weight of data acquisition and video equipment. The tested truck rear guard will have the same ground clearance, strength, and height. Key assessments include the vehicle's structural compatibility with the truck's rear guard, whether airbags and restraint systems activate correctly, and whether the call system works. After the crash, the low voltage system was working, hazard lights were on. The call system activated, but the operator can't hear.
需要报警吗？
你好，可以听到吗？
你好。
Doors unlocked and non-impact side doors could open. Rescue and extrication rating, acceptable. But energy-absorbing zones were ineffective. The bumper beam was large but useless. The energy-absorbing box was intact, leaving huge pressure on the cabin. The pillar fractured, penetrating the dummy's chest, while the B and C pillars were strong, leaving enough rear space. Structure and safety cage rating, moderate, due to collapsed roof and the pillar. The front passenger had critical head, neck and chest injuries, especially the chest. Its survival chance is extremely low. The injury index of these 3 parts, poor. Because of the excellent restraint system, the driver could survive without serious injuries. Only the lower leg might have a minor injury. Acceptable. Overall rating of 35 miles per hour 30% offset crash, moderate. 40 miles per hour 40% frontal offset crash test against a deformable barrier. Simulating a crash against other vehicles. This is the IIHS moderate overlap frontal crash evaluation, a standard in NCAP assessments. All vehicles are set to the maximum load. Front, 1 driver. Second row, 2 dummies. If there is third row, 2 dummies. The call system worked and connected.
你好，这是10万移动信息健康，您发生交通事故，请问需要帮您报交警吗？
你好，您能听见吗？
哎，您好，我这能听见您讲。
The low voltage system is working. Doors unlocked and opened easily. Rescue and extrication rating, great. The bumper beam and energy absorbing box worked effectively. With intact structure, door frame, and passenger compartment. No distinct deformation in plastic hinge on the B pillars and door frame. Structure and safety cage rating, great. All airbags deployed. Windows raised automatically upon impact. The driver was fully protected by the airbags. All dummies survived. The front dummy sustained mild chest and leg injuries. Acceptable. A flame appeared in the front passenger airbag. Front restraint system, poor. The chest and lower leg of the rear left dummy sustained minor injuries. Acceptable. The chest of the rear right dummy sustained minor injuries. Acceptable. Rear restraint system, great. Overall rating for the frontal offset crash, acceptable. 50 miles per hour, 70% rear end crash by a 1 point for T-test vehicle. Simulating a secondary high-speed rear ending. The dummy layout and weight distribution remained unchanged. According to the U.S. Federal Regulations 301 and 305, major focuses are fuel and battery leakage, thermal runaway, and structural integrity. After the test, there was no fuel leakage. Fuel system integrity, great. The crash beam and energy absorbing box performed well. No deformation on the door frame. Doors opened easily. Structure and safety cage rating, great. Overall rear end rating, great.